Scott, I forgot to play our intro, so we don't have an intro. Oh no! Here, let's play it real quick.
Drinks with the leaders, come on everyone. Drinks with the leaders, it's time to have fun. Business people, lots of ideas. You need some advice, come right here. Drinks with leaders is here.
Well, here's the good part. That gave us lots of time to let us know we're going live. That was a close call. So far, this is going wonderful. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing good. I got a wristband from Walmart. I was playing pickleball this morning with a couple business friends, and so I wanted to look the part. So I got this fancy sweatband.
Did you go to that fancy Walmart by your house?
No, it was the one on State Line, but that is a really nice Walmart. We love Walmart.
We have actually had this Walmart talk way too many times. If you guys have never been to the Walmart, what is it, 159th and Metcalf?
Yes, yeah, it's really.
I'll drive out there sometimes if I'm just feeling fancy. I'll drive out to that Walmart because that's a pretty good Walmart.
Oh my God, yeah, get a bunch of produce, anything you want. Great place.
So you know why I forgot to do our opener today?
Because you're mad at your son?
Not mad at my son. No, because I have a new fancy thing. But the first thing we need to do, first of all, let us know if you're here. We are so excited. We want to remind you to text us at 913-298-8790. Just text Drinks with Leaders, and we'll give you reminders to jump on. And if we book a really awesome guest, then we will let you know before we let anyone know. And maybe we'll do that with our guests we book for a couple weeks. We won't tell anyone just yet. So we got somebody big, pretty big coming on. So text us 913-298-8790. But I set up something really fancy from when we announce all our guests today. So I think I was just, I'm not very techy.
Yes, and as a reminder, on the 7th is when we're going to have our show sponsored by the LinkedIn Challenge, where people named a bunch of people that were on the show. So as a reminder, we are getting everyone's logos for that sponsorship. So kudos to a lot of the people that are really well known and connectors in Kansas City.
Don't sleep on us on LinkedIn, guys, because we're just giving stuff away left and right, I feel like, over there. So, all right, we ready to announce? You got the music queued up?
I do not. Just the whole you and me just so excited about our guest that we're not even ready for any of it.
One of our guests just asked if we were ready to drink, and we were like, "Are you sure you want us drinking?"
All right, fire it up.
All right, and we said we were going alphabetically, and I am just having a hard time doing alphabet. So let's start with our first guest. She recently won Women Who Mean Business. She is the owner and architect at Odimo. Welcome, Miss Amy Slattery.
Hello.
Hi, Amy.
Glad to be here. Hi, how are you?
HIJKL. Okay, our next guest, God, you should never told me to do this alphabetically, is my mentor. You should have a mentor of the opposite sex, I learned. He's one of my favorite people in the world. He usually stays low key, but one of my absolute favorite people. So connect with him after today. Mr. Jason Parson, owner of Parson and Associates, LLC.
Good afternoon. How are you? Glad to be here. Look forward to it.
It's going to be so much for you today. Okay. Okay, our next guest, I'm having a hard time with the alphabet, is the one, the only, you already know and love her, Miss Lauren Conaway, the founder and CEO of InnovateHer. All right, and last but not least, Scott and him met when they were wearing half shirts at a party. The one, the only, Mr. Trevor Lewis. Woo!
All right.
Thank you guys for dealing with our over the topness today, or over hot mess over the topness. I want to welcome everybody, and I want to tell you guys we're already getting a lot of comments. Make sure you get your questions in early. The past 2 weeks, I've noticed questions after we were done, so get them in early so we get to it. And Scott, I'll pass it to you.
Aaron, I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. Do you want to start saying hi to some of the? They're not asking questions. but there's so many people that are saying hi right now. Do you want to say hi to a couple of them as we're doing introductions?
Hello, Miss Caitlin. Allison Berry. Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, Jennifer. She's a former guest. Yeah, Scott, people are missing your bathroom.
Oh, man.
John meant to say hey, Aaron, too. So, hey, John. Harry Campbell says hi to everybody. We've got Jerry on here. Amy, congrats
Jerry.
on Women Who Mean Business.
Good to see you, Jerry.
Zeke says, let's go. What a great group today. Irina, we 100% agree. We're so excited. This anonymous person loves you guys. And they said, start a puzzle full scale in the house. Everybody is watching today. So exciting. All right, now to you, Scott. No more curveballs. I'm not ready.
Yeah, sorry. I thought it was really unique how popular our guests are, because that's a lot of firepower coming out in the chat hot. So Amy, the show's about you guys. So the quick 4, 5, 6 minute background on how you got to Kansas City and what you do today, and congratulations on the recent Women Who Mean Business.
Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here. I must say I watched a few of your shows, and I'm excited to be in this company. So I'm Amy Slattery. I'm an architect here in Kansas City. Let's see, I'm a small town Missouri girl, went to KU. Always wanted to be an architect. Met my first architect when I went to KU, so I didn't really know what I was getting into. But it's turned out to just be a real passion for my career. We started Odimo about 5 years ago. I've been in practice in this city about 18, 19 years. Started my own thing about 5 years ago. And we are focused on higher education and affordable housing, have a diverse practice, including also some office work and some work with the city. A lot of what we do is really trying to combine both a service and design approach with our clients. And that's what I love about architecture. So what we really focus on partnering with our clients and kind of using their vision and their ideas to create the design that meets their goals. And one of the things I've loved most about doing architecture and being in architecture is our collaborative process. So much of what we do is in collaboration with engineers and experts in a variety of fields. Love collaborating with our clients too, who tend to be experts in their own fields. And we love working in the city. Being in Kansas City has been just a really great foundation for us. The entrepreneurial culture, that we met at Aaron with Scale Up and those kinds of conversations. It's been really a great experience building a practice here in this small, big city. We were Firm of the Year last year for AI Kansas City, which was just kind of a really surprising honor, mostly due to our growth and our work with the KC Chamber of Commerce. We were top 10 last year as well. It's just kind of this explosion last year with really great growth. And a lot of what we have been doing as well is volunteerism, primarily with professional organizations towards the diversity conversation. And that was another reason we were recognized that way. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I love Kansas City. We have our office here in Brookside. We live about a mile that way. I have a couple kids. My husband's an architect too. And we're excited to be here in this conversation with y'all.
So Trevor, talking about another small town executive leader, you're someone that is always not only leading employees and associates, but also being very involved in the community as well. Kind of give us a story of how you got to Kansas City and your company today, and then also touch a little bit on how you've helped with PPE protection with everything going on with COVID.
Sure. So a little bit about me is I came to Kansas City in 2007. So I'm an Abilene University graduate and actually don't reside too far away from Abilene campus there. So we live right across the road. And, coming from Neosho, Missouri is the small town. So I know there's a decent amount of folks who are from Neosho, Missouri that have resided up here to Kansas City. So it's super cool to not only be high school friends with them and know them and be acquainted with them, but also then continue to have our little stamp on Kansas City from a very small town, which is fun and is certainly what kind of led the introduction to Scott and everything that he's doing. Work-wise, I oversee our sales and marketing team here. My glorified title, I guess, would be brand evangelist, just because I'm just always speaking on the behalf of in-store design displays. So we are a retail displays manufacturer. Been involved with this company a little over 3 years now. You may have seen a little bit of noise we made as we pivoted our plastic manufacturing division, really to help folks get back to work as quickly as possible. So early on, it was in collaboration with one of our lovely partners in Dimensional Innovations. We were asked to, hey, how quickly can we, tool up our plastic manufacturing and help dive in with face shields? So we knew that was going to be a shortage early on. We were looking at how can we create an open source design solution that really anyone could pick up as long as they could cut the material. So we were able to achieve that through one of our great designers and our prototypers here in-house. We went to work in immediately deploying those across the United States through both frontline essential workers, and then it's continued to morph into manufacturing. So we did a little over 35,000 units in 5 days for Tyson's Foods, and now we're seeing it continue to transition into education. So we've morphed away from just face shields and really opened up our plastic manufacturing to accommodate cubicle barriers for office settings. A lot of them can be either ones that attach directly to cubicles or can suspend in different settings like retail. And we just keep on going because clients keep coming to us to help solve problems, primarily around material availability and speed. So with being a domestic plastic manufacturer here in Kansas City, we've been able to align fairly well to the demand.
Lauren, now I don't know if you're from a small town, because I've never really gotten into the personal background, but there's very few people that I've met where I've just been so blown away about your massive network. So give us the background on how you got to Kansas City and what you're doing today, and also what your core mission is here in Kansas City.
It's me?
Well, yeah.
Okay, sorry. So first of all, I just want to preface this by saying that I have a little bit of a cold. So if I mute myself, it's because I'm hacking up a lung and I don't want to share that with all of you. But so yeah, I have lived in Kansas City for almost 12 years now. Originally from St. Louis, moved here to be with my now husband. So it was a good move. I've always been an entrepreneur, kind of in the background, had a side hustle. But I came up through the corporate world, and I worked in largely male-dominated industries. So I worked in aerospace for a while. I worked in automotive. I worked in IT. And as I was coming up, my personal drive for what I do, and I'll tell you about that in a second, is sometimes that was kind of a lonely place to be the only female manager at most tables, and just a unique journey. And so coming up through these industries and finding that it was a little disconcerting at times. I never wanted another woman to have to experience that isolated feeling. So fast forward to me moving to Kansas City, and I was getting more and more involved in the entrepreneurial community here. And I was working for the Kansas City Startup Foundation, now Startland, and they're a fantastic organization, and they really just kind of taught me about community, the importance of convening and converging people, and the power in bringing people together. And I looked around and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of opportunity for women in the entrepreneurial space just to hang out and be. And so, there's a lot more to the story, but bottom line is InnovateHer KC, which is my baby, was born. And so InnovateHer KC, we have over 2,400 members. We are a women's leadership community here in Kansas City that prioritizes diversity, inclusion, and belonging, as well as low barrier to entry. We want to help as many women as we possibly can in their leadership journey. We do that a lot of different ways, but we do it through the amplification of women in the area. We do it in their efforts. We do it by offering professional development, offering a strong network, offering opportunities to connect with other women, high achieving women in the area. And so that's kind of what we're all about. As far as the future and what that looks like, I don't know the future. I mean, I feel like it looks pretty bright. We've had a lot of, we've been very fortunate, very blessed. We've had some really interesting things happen lately. Most recently, we actually signed on with Startup Hustle podcast. And we're super excited about that. They've got a fantastic audience. They've put together a fantastic program, but now we get to bring a little bit of the woman's voice to that. So super psyched.
Yeah, I think for corporations in Kansas City that are really trying to get a pulse on what's going on in our community, I can't say enough amazing things about InnovateHer and what you've done, Lauren. And I hear they got some good social media too, and the content's amazing. Jason, as a UMKC grad, how did you decide to start your company 14, 15 years ago? And then give us a little bit of personal background as well.
Sure. I actually started my company when I returned from war. I was a part of the invasion in Iraq in 2003. And while I was at war, obviously you got time on your hand amongst other things. And I was thinking, here we are doing all this for this particular country. What can I do if, Lord see fit for me to return home? So with that, once we returned back to the United States in 2004, I started out just trying to figure out what does that look like, and started just working part-time in the industry. And from there, opportunities presented itself, and I was able to start my business, and I've been pretty fortunate ever since. Certainly hasn't all been easy, but it's all been worthwhile. We have worked on many of the big projects in Kansas City. If you think about from the new terminal at the airport, the streetcar project, Lowe's Hotel, worked with KCATA. So again, just our involvement and what we've been able to touch in Kansas City has been something that we're all very, very proud of. Also, we started a nonprofit called Project MRE. MRE stands for Meals Ready to Eat. And to date, we have given away over 1,000 meals to veterans, whether they are in shelters, homeless, or sick and shut in, whatever the case may be, in addition to other accessories. In the winter, we give them coats and gloves and things of that nature. In the summer, try to give them water bottles and other things that they could use. So again, Kansas City's been home for all of my life, and very fortunate to have the company that we have, and looking forward. At one point within the last couple of years, we opened an office in Jackson, Mississippi, and look to continue expansion. We've since closed it, but looking for other opportunities around the primarily the Midwest to expand our operations. But we're excited to be here in Kansas City and to be a part of such an amazing community.
You left out the most important part, though. What's it like having Aaron Folk as a mentee?
You said drinks, right? Like, it's I'm sure she'll tell the story. I was having lunch, and she's got plenty of personality, and she is not afraid to speak her mind. And that often gets you somewhere in life. And so from that moment, she sold me. If you go to our website, thank Erin at the time, she said, "Hey, your website sucks," right? I'm like, "Well, what do you know about my website? I'm here to, eat a taco and interview a guy." And within, a couple of minutes, you've looked up my, website and telling me it sucks, and, we need to hire you to build a new website. Well, I did hire her to build a new website. It kind of did suck. And so from that time on, she's been great. She's amazing. She's a go-getter. I'm very, very proud of her. Whatever challenges that may come before her, ultimately it turns into an opportunity for her. So here, Aaron, and your team for doing an amazing work, and I wish you nothing but continued success for many years to come.
Thank you, Jason. That was so nice. That was way nicer than I thought you were going to say. I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, same.
I will tell you what Jason did leave out on his, though, right before COVID. It wasn't too long before COVID. I'm bad at timing, but you just opened a brand new office down in the 18th and Vine district. So I know you had a party right before. So it looks like you're back in it now.
We are. We love the district. No place I would rather be than the historic Jazz District. It's home for us.
Yeah, Jason, I after hearing a little bit about your background, I feel like you and Aaron are good yin and yang. And I'm one person is the calming voice. It's not Aaron. And so, but Amy, we're going to transition to you, and we want to know about a recent win or success for your firm or organization. What is something that you've done that's been a big win that can tell our audience a little bit about your business?
Well, I'd say we're really excited about a project that's actually under construction. It broke ground recently in KCK. It's with Prairie Fire Development Group. They are a long-term client of ours, and they focus on affordable housing. And I think just seeing the project start to come alive is probably one of the biggest ones we've got. It was one of our largest projects to date last year, and kind of wrapping up the drawings and seeing it break ground and really move forward. It's a really big kind of hole in the ground right now, and we're getting ready to kind of lay out the drawings, but lay out the building it is. It'll be affordable units right there in the heart of downtown Kansas City, Kansas, and will really serve that population well. And those neighborhoods and that downtown kind of synergy with everything that's happening there, it's going to be part of everything that's kind of blooming in that area again. So that was probably one of our most exciting things happening right now. As we continue to do other affordable housing projects, the day-to-day work of our design work is just as much fun as anything. So obviously the Women Who Means Business was it's an honor and it's kind of a surprise, honestly, to be in that group of amazing leaders. And we're excited to see where that takes us from a networking standpoint too.
Scott, say your opinion on this year's Women Who Mean Business.
It was such a killer class. It was I had a lot of people that applied, that a lot of really good friends that didn't get in, and then I was doing the math on everything. There were just so many heavy hitting CEOs that have been at their company for 3 years and amazing leaders like yourself, Amy. It was just a freak class of, I think it's one of the best classes I've seen, and I'm a business journal nerd.
Yeah, well, it
was amazing.
In some ways it was tough because, and it's also great that they've opened it up to nonprofit leaders now too. So there's this great group of nonprofit leaders that were able to be submitted. And I'm honored, really just honored to be part of that group. But I think that conversation is something we've been having. Hi, yes, thank you. I'm excited to meet you all someday soon.
I call them your sorority sisters.
Well, I think with the conversation we've been having really for the last 15 years about women in leadership and architecture in Kansas City, it's now kind of out of the bag in the last 10 years. And I really love that all industries are really focused on that conversation, because we've been having that conversation for a long time, just around gender diversity, and really working to improve that in all professions now. So.
Yeah, no, to segue into Trevor for blazing his own trail, a little side comment. I actually was approached by the Business Journal, and they wrote an article about me. And it was really because I think they wanted to write about the Women Who Mean Business, because I wasn't really welcome into any network of folks. And I thought to myself, if I could meet the Women Who Mean Business leaders, that's the largest area of business leaders and owners, all connected by one common bond. And so 10 years ago, when I started doing business development, I was really lucky to meet a lot of the Women Who Mean Business. So big, huge fan of that. And Trevor, you've blazed your own trail as well. And you also touched a little bit about how you've had some recent wins and some successes. Kind of tell us a little bit more about your core business pre-COVID and some of those projects that you've worked on and continue to work on?
Sure. So we're a retail displays and manufacturer with plastic fabrication in-house. So we really work across multiple different retail categories. So one of our larger ones being the wireless category. Then we work with folks like Bear Animal Health, Bushnell, and the different outdoor brands there to represent and tell their story in a given brick and mortar retail environment. And then we also target and work with franchise folks who own the brick and mortar, like Title Boxing, to help consolidate the overall brand, make sure the overall brand is being deployed that's consistent. It's the right brand experience no matter where you visit Title Boxing. So that's kind of our core, what we call our core business. And then obviously a win for us is just the pivot, both internally and externally, watching the pivot and how we, ramped up our ability to internally communicate effectively, utilizing all the different technologies that are out there. This company is not well versed in technology as a whole. So whenever we pivoted, that was something that we didn't really have a choice, but just to watch the camaraderie, watch how into we've came. And I have a lot of women that are on my team. And as everyone knows, it's whenever you show up and the dog's running across the keyboard and your hair's all wet, and it's just a little bit unique, but watching that intimacy come together and really create a sense of culture and bond was like nothing I've ever seen before. So that was really the impact internally that was so significant for us, of continuing to come together as an organization, which was super cool. And then obviously the pivot and helping solve problems both locally. We don't always get an opportunity to work with local clients, but whenever COVID hit, everyone kind of stopped what they're doing, took a step back and said, how can we help each other? And so that was a really cool win, just partnering with organizations here locally, helping solve problems with healthcare and essential workers locally. That was something that I know that our team really, felt a sense of pride for us to be able to help our community right here in Kansas City. So that was some big wins for us for sure.
Quick question, quick answer. How many people work with you on your teams, and then square footage and your location, et cetera? I don't think people are aware of how large your company is.
Sure. We have about 80,000 square foot of build space here in North Kansas City. This is our HQ, and then we have a design studio off of 18th and the Crossroads area. So if you've seen maybe some of the different displays, if you're walking by, maybe after the Super Bowl parade or something, I don't know, you may have seen our design studio there in the Crossroads. Team-wise, we have about 40 to 50 full-time employees here at InStore Design Display, and that can obviously fluctuate based on certain project sizes. I think I answered all of those for you, Scott.
Yep, and I know your title is different, but I always think of you as a chief operating officer, and you're doing a wonderful job pivoting and growing your company in a really difficult time. Lauren, for you, what is a big win? Obviously, what you've built is absolutely insanely amazing, but in that, what is kind of like a win to tell people a little bit about your organization for people to learn about?
So I mean, we've been very, very fortunate to have a bunch of really amazing partners and wins. We've got a really strong partnership with FlexPod. We've got a strong partnership with Full Scale and the Startup Hustle podcast. But I think that our win stories always come from our community. And so I'm going to tell one of those stories instead of one of the more, I guess, organizational stories. But so recently, during COVID, we instituted something called Innovator KC office hours. Aaron has served as an expert, but basically what it is every Friday for 2 hours, a subject matter expert female leader from the community comes and just does 15-minute one-on-one sessions with innovators. And, we've had them in, so Aaron did one for marketing and branding, and we had Sheila Seck do one for legal. We had NBKC Bank, Melissa Eggleston, do one for small business banking. But we cover a lot of topics. And so there was a win. One of our members, she's starting a nonprofit. And I got an email, but it was like in letter form. But it was just this beautifully crafted email all about how, I talked to Aaron for Innovator Office Hours, and this is what I did as a result of it. This is what I was able to accomplish. And so she went through, she had attended multiple of these sessions. And what I thought was so cool is she was able to directly correlate that to a success that she had in doing her work and doing what she needed to do. And so whenever people ask me about Innovator KC wins, like the wins are always a little bit more private for me. They're the ones where we truly had impact, where we were able to help a woman be a better, stronger, more effective leader, because that's what we're all about. And so I love that story.
So, Jason, besides, building the streetcar and helping make that happen, or maybe the largest hotel in Kansas City, or maybe making KCI one of the top airports in the world, what have you done recently that's kind of interesting other than really, help Kansas City progress and move forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I like to think internally about our team. We're working on some pretty cool projects, even beyond those that you listed. Whether it's this downtown strategic plan where we have the opportunity to talk to community leaders that either typically wouldn't be engaged in a downtown community plan, strategic plan, and hearing, what does ownership of downtown to you look like? And it's pretty interesting when you start to hear neighborhood leaders that are on the fringes of downtown talk about what that means. But I would tell you that the win for me, I think, is our staff here at the company, ultimately. And the reason why I say that is obviously COVID-19 has it's put a lot of stress on all of us. In addition to all the unrest that's happening in many of our communities. And just our internal conversations with our staff about just wanting to be better citizens for this city of Kansas City, and what can we do collectively to make a difference, and that's something I'm extremely proud of. One of the things we decided to do is for Juneteenth going forward is closing the office, and my staff is mostly made up of amazing women, and me and Alex, so it's all women except for two guys. But it is a bunch of folks that are very intentional about wanting to do right. And so as much as we work on these projects, but ultimately it's how can we make a difference in our communities. And fortunately for us, we've been able to do both in the built environment, but also when you drill down to being a change agent. And that's something that I think we all probably say we got the best staff, but I'm super proud of our staff and their commitment to community.
What are you pointing? Who's taking pictures? I hear that picture. You hear that picture thing? Okay, we want people to start asking your questions. We've got Lord. We've got lots of questions, and I will tell you that Jason's staff knows how to throw a party, right? Because the party was really good too. When I went to his company party, Scott, I think you're like me, Lauren, probably everyone on this.
Love the party.
Trevor loves the party. Yeah, I know you like a party, but I mean, we walk in and we're like, oh, there's so and so. This was a different level of people when I walked into Jason's party. I was super probably obnoxious. I was like, Jason, will you introduce me to so-and-so? Jason, will you introduce me to so-and-so? So I'm telling you, I'll connect with him. Like, he tries to keep it DL, but it's hard when you're my friend. So, okay, so start asking questions. Yeah, too. And then you go ahead, Scott. You've got one more question. I just wanted to remind everybody to start asking their questions so we can get to all of them.
With it being 3:34, I want to make sure that if you want to ask questions, but I will remind Bill. May I read this comment, Aaron?
This one that I'm right here?
Yeah, Bill, you're on the show on the 14th, not the 7th. I sent you the invite, all right? So just want to tell you in front of everyone, the 14th is when you come on the show. You'll be with Julian Wright, who's a KU legend,
That was our secret text.
Oh, that was secret? Okay.
See, this is why I'm in charge of the tech. Yeah, so we have Julian Wright, the KU legend NBA player, coming on. So, okay, let's get to questions. Lauren, I'm gonna show your faces again in a second. Hold on. As a woman and business owner, I want to do all I can to be a guide for other women, and I'm always looking to find ways to expand that impact. What are some things I can do for and with InnovateHer that would help further the cause and expand the reach I want to provide as well?
I love that question so much. It just makes me really happy. Thank you. So as far as for, like, what can you do for? Some of the ways that you can help InnovateHer KC are very small, kind of incremental things. Like us on Facebook. If you are a woman leader in the Kansas City area, join the community. We would love to have you. Connect with me. I always love meeting amazing women and kind of ushering them into the InnovateHer KC fold. So those are some kind of small ways that you can connect. I know that I saw that Allison Berry was here, and like I said, Aaron has volunteered to do IHKC office hours. So there are ways to connect if you want to find ways to share your knowledge with our members, act in almost like a mentorship or championship capacity. Those are some really easy ways. I'm going to do a little plug, sorry, Aaron, but on July 15th, we have a trivia night that is going to serve as a fundraiser for us. It'll be women-themed trivia. We would love to see you. You can find the event information on our Facebook page. But I mean, really, like, as far as offering support, like, it's not hard. Most of it is stuff that you can do in mere moments. And, I would love to connect further and talk about some meaningful ways that you could do that.
Awesome. No, you can do plugs. That's why we bring you on the show.
Everyone.
Trevor, it's awesome to see you all on here looking to make a positive impact on our KC community. So Chase Kaufman, he's a NBA, NFL, right? Former player?
NFL, he's a really big deal in Kansas City because he played for Missouri.
Oh.
I feel like I just want to tell Joe Goldberg, like, we are killing him.
We're practically sports.
We're like sports broadcasters.
You guys, you're welcome.
What's up, Chase?
He says, "What's up, Chase?"
Isn't Chase like BMG now with Adam Hawley and Jen Malone and all those awesomeness people? Cool.
Yeah,
All
they're
right.
just in the Business Journal.
Okay, this is weird because I think people are just so into watching you, they're not asking questions. So ask questions, but we have more views than usual. So I'm going to ask questions until you guys do. So essentially, Amy, you and I met in our scale up class, right? So it was
Yes.
for business owners.
Can you explain scale up to everyone?
What?
Can you explain scale up to everyone?
Yeah, so it's a federally funded class that chooses 16 business owners every year to go in, and they teach them like the how to work on your business instead of in your business, right?
Yep.
One of the most impressive things I thought of you when I got in there, I was overwhelmed, right? And I feel like you came out a little bit different than I did, and you really thrived where it took me like a year to just wrap my head around everything. What was your secret of taking just the things you needed to learn? Like, so one of the mistakes I did, I tried to implement it all. You did a really good job of implementing the pieces you needed and thriving, right? You thrived at the end of that. What's your secret of taking just those pieces and because I think we all listen to things and we want to implement everything, but sometimes that'll break our business. So what was your secret of thriving out of something like a learning opportunity?
Well, I think I already had started with the Fast Track program before I started my business. So I kind of had like a first draft of some things we were talking about. That helped. But we actually grew from 5 people to 12 people in the 4 months during scale up. We scaled up while I was learning how to scale up. So we kind of were reacting a lot. And we ended up implementing some things very quickly in the first quarter of the next year. And then we kind of tabled some things. So we started with some mission, vision, values stuff, and then tried to incrementally work on some tools and some of our internal processes. That was probably our number one issue. What I was able to do is, because I had a foundation in Fast Track, is I was able to take some of the information, especially about finances and how we were looking at our business and how we made money or not made money, or where we could make more money or serve our clients better. Those kinds of things were easier to implement because I already kind of had a first draft. What's been nice, I'll tell you now, though, is that the last 4 months, 6 months, we've had obviously a bit of a slowdown in the market for a lot of people in AEC. And we are having so much fun actually getting into the details of our processes. So we are going to come out of this slow time that we have in kind of this retooled, really strategic mindset, implementing the things that I learned 2 years ago in Scale Up. I really didn't do all of it back then, Aaron. We were so busy growing. I'm doing a lot of it now. And, just the details like HR manual and design processes and getting our standards and templates together is going to make us a really lean, even more efficient firm going out of this. So highly recommend it, you guys. Go apply. It's SBTDC. It's through UMKC, connected with the Kauffman Foundation. I can't tell you, and I'm still connected with people in that group, just like we are here today, Aaron. And I highly recommend it for anybody who's looking at how to grow their business. And to know that you want to grow your business, because some people in our class, right, decided that maybe they didn't want to grow too much bigger than what they
People
wanted.
already closed their businesses. They're like, nah.
Yeah. It's kind of it's a good test to say, like, do I really want to go further, or am I good where I'm at? And I want to keep growing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job. I got 2 quick questions for Jason and Trevor, and then I'm going to ask Allison's question here in a minute for everybody. Jason, one of the things that has been like fascinating, I guess, about our relationship to me is you and I have gone about running business in a total opposite way when it comes to networking, right? I always joke that you're low key, but like the people you need to know you networked with, but you didn't go out there and go, hi guys, I'm here. You did it in more of a strategic fashion. Can you kind of explain to me, just so I understand? I don't care if anyone else learns from this, but I want to learn from this. Can you kind of explain to me, but again, your business is 10 times the size of my business. What was the strategy behind your networking, since it didn't look like what we imagine networking always is, like a lot of networking opportunities, a lot of LinkedIn, a lot of that. What was your strategy to grow within that networking space? Because you still did some sort of networking.
Yeah, well, first thing, I had to do is get out of my comfort zone. When you think about networking, you think about those that can help you. But I tell you, I think the other piece of that people don't often think about is, are you bringing value? And so any relationship that I've cultivated over the years, I've also tried to bring some value to that relationship. And so when I started out, obviously I, attended many networking events, which, some proved to be beneficial. But what I found even more helpful is anytime I had an opportunity to work on a project. And oftentimes when we work on projects, we either work with project managers or the owner of the company. And what I wanted to do was to make sure that if there's an opportunity to grow the relationship in a meaningful way, that I did. It's kind of interesting. One relationship that forever changed my life is with Reeves Weideman. Reeves, is the owner of Helix Architects. And so, so we were working on East Patrol project in Kansas City for a number of years, and Reeves ended up being, a mentor to me. And so, funny story. One day, he just called me out of the blue. Hey, Jason, let's go to lunch. And so he came and picked me up. I was in a polo shirt and some khakis, whatever. And Reeves was like, well, where are you going with me dressed like that? I was like, well, you called me, and he was just like, hey, what you're trying to accomplish, you always have to be dressed for the part. And I could tell you from that time back in 2013 or so, I've never come to work without wearing a shirt and tie and a suit. And that was all based on Reeves Weideman, saying, hey, Jason, this is, as you're growing your business and you're doing things, and but you always have to be on. And so there are relationships like that I've cultivated through my network that have been meaningful and very intentional. I think that the last thing I'll say is I don't go for quantity as much as I do quality, and that is also beneficial, because if you have a relationship, you want to not only to be able to call on that person, but when you call, you want them to answer, and not always because you want something, but because you have the relationship.
Right.
Well, quick question. Did you do the East Side Police Station as well?
Yes.
Wow.
Did everything. I'm telling you.
Man,
Listen,
yeah, I
I
heard you and Reese speak at a Centurions event at the Negro Leagues
Negro
Baseball
League
Museum.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I remember. Yep, I remember.
I'm glad my mentor Jason doesn't make me wear a tie or heels at that point.
Because I remember you guys wore suit and ties, and it was like July.
Right now.
Yeah, exactly. Good old Reese Whiteman.
Jeff wants to know if you're wearing your rotary pin.
I'll pull it up. Sorry, Jeff.
He's got it. Jeff, way to put him on the spot. Okay, Trevor, I'm going to get personal with you here. You ready? I know we didn't prep you for this, and I barely know you at all. You're the one person on this call I barely know. We've met a few times.
Give it to
One of
him.
the things I've always been impressed with is that your significant other and you, when I've ever been at networking events, you guys are both there. I often go to events and have like my work life, right? Even like before COVID, but still even with COVID, I have my work life and then I come home and I do my home life. And I've always thought, one time my husband and I went to a networking event together and I was just like, this is too much work. I'm trying to merge too. But I don't think a ton of people can do that really effectively like I've seen you guys. What is your secret to being able to, both just focus on business when you're in the same spots and then also be very like, make it like you're more like networkers and then go home and do, relationship?
Well, first is we better enjoy it. So that is, we both do. We both generally enjoy meeting new people, getting outside of our comfort zone, but we mutually enjoy doing it together. So there's always opportunities where I'm trying to elevate her personal brand and then vice versa with me. And I think 2 is better than 1 is kind of our philosophy. And we both have been in the design build space in terms of our careers. So it's inevitably kind of enhanced it without actually doing it purposely. But she's from Grove, Oklahoma, which is a rural area. We've been together for 14 years. So that has a part of it. So high school sweethearts. And our philosophy is, we always try to look to put our family in the best position possible. So whether that's networking and investments, whatever the scenario is, we didn't come from that. So coming together and having that as part of our DNA of our family is important, that we just continuously put each other at the forefront of everything that we do, including networking, including business. But there is no off time for that, which can create a little bit of conflict, right? Sometimes she may just want to relax by the pool. I may want to talk business, or I may want to just go fishing and she wants to talk business, or whatever the scenario may be. That can be some of the challenges, is there is no off in terms of business. We don't separate the two as well, work and life and personal. It's a blend, and for us that works.
And this is her. So I just wanted you guys to know she was here supporting. And then someone else said it was a great question. So I'm glad she jumped on. I didn't know if she thought it was a good question or not, but awesome. Yeah, no, it's really impressive how you guys do it. Okay, we've got one more question and 12 more minutes, right? So you guys do the math, because I'm not a mathematician, but we will start with you, Miss Lauren. And it's going to be a long question, so it's going to hide you bottom 3, but then I'll bring you right back, okay? Casey is such an incredibly mutual, supportive, relationship-driven entrepreneurial community. I feel like this is a test, so many big words. Everybody connects great people to other great people and genuinely wants to help. Do any of you see any gaps in this realm, such as things you wish there was more of in terms of resources, general support, or ways to build relationships that would help you succeed?
I can't believe you're starting with me.
Well, traitor.
All right. So, okay. Here is my answer. As far as gaps in this realm. Okay. So as far as resources, right now KC SourceLink is running a big initiative to kind of garner and encourage corporate engagement with smaller, more grassroots organizations, and I'd like to see more of that. I know that like with COVID-19, everything has like, budgets and foundation grants and things like that have kind of been knocked on their heads a little bit, but figuring out ways for larger entities to partner with smaller entities in order to foster, knowledge share and skill share and innovation. I'd really like to see that. And I guess as far as trends with InnovateHer KC, I kind of get the bird's eye view of what successful network building can look like, just because I get to see like all of these little offshoots of friendships and relationships happen out of the larger group. And one of the things that I've started to see more of, but I would like to continue to see on a kind of a growth trajectory, is often people talk a lot about mentorship, which I think is hugely important. But a mentor relationship is a relationship where, you go out for coffee with somebody and then they tell you what to do. Whereas I'd like to see more championship, which is where you are turning that positivity and that ability to share your platform and that ability to share your knowledge, and you're turning that outward to the community. So I want to champion Amy, and I want to champion Scott and Aaron and Jason and Trevor, and I want to not just tell them I think you're fantastic, but I want to tell the community at large. And so I think that talking more about that and seeing more people actively involved, like Aaron, I know that you do it all the time. Scott, you are amazing at it, but I don't know that everybody does that. So I think that at the interpersonal level, I want to see more championship happen.
And I'll just echo that, because I was thinking the exact same thing, Lauren, about that corporate startup partnership. But I think there's also further conversations to what Jason was saying about the value that small firms with expertise bring to these conversations, and that not every expert in town is a corporate partner, that we have really great expert small businesses, and we should figure out how to continue to elevate them and to share what small businesses are doing to impact not only regionally, but globally. There are firms, small firms in this city that are doing work all over the world, and they don't always have the loudest voice. So I think if I was going to add to that, it would be, how can we amplify the voices of small business, and instead of pay to play kind of sponsorships and conversations, which is part of the business deal, I get it. How do we leverage those expertise and really put that on the global stage that we have here?
Well, and really just like acknowledge that there are strengths to each, and there are drawbacks to each. So like, for instance, thinking about like Triple Blind, like they're an organization that completely pivoted to come out with technology that serves, COVID-19 and helps. I think that they've got like some wearables, like that ping when you get within 6 feet. And, you've got like all of these smaller organizations innovating. And the reason that they can do that is because they're smaller and they're more nimble. And so there's not as much like institutional red tape and bureaucracy to cut through in order to get experimental and try things. That is a huge asset, particularly to a larger organization that doesn't necessarily have that capability. Like that agility just isn't baked into what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the two can play together so nicely, and just seeing more of that and figuring out how we can create this kind of mutual symbiosis,
Right.
Trevor, we're going to jump over to you because I want to end with Jason, because I think Jason has been kind of on top of this for certain communities. So I want to end with you. But Trevor, I want to go to you. Do you remember the question at this point? Here you go. Any gaps in this realm, such as things you wish there were more in terms of resources, general support, or ways to build relationships that could help you succeed?
I think the lady certainly nailed it. So there's not a whole lot I would add to that, but just continuously, I think the biggest takeaway was really just the small business collaboration and making it more of a you don't have to have these huge budgets. I think that the biggest thing that spoke to me was that we do know a lot of it is pay to play in terms of the amplification of whatever said message we're trying to get out there or good that we're trying to accomplish. And I think that that's a gap because it's limiting. You have to have X amount of resources to play certain games. But your impact, if we can measure it against impact, that would be pretty cool. So that would just be maybe my only thing that I would add.
I love it. And, I would say if you are confused, because I'm always really transparent about, I didn't know what pay to play was when I started my business. So I was always so confused. So if you have questions on that, let me know and I'll explain it because I did a lot of research on it. Made me mad. All right, Jason, do you remember the question?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. For the most part, I too agree. What's been said today. I think when I think about gaps and where we are and where we're going, one of the things that I think is the value of diversity. And I'm so, Trevor, I like you and all, but I'm so glad we have some wonderful women on here that's smart, that's leading their organizations, because to me, that's how we see real change, is when we see women and minorities sitting at the table, and when they have an ability to lead, and for the most part, when you think about networking, it can be intimidating. So, for example, and so how do we create these environments that are nurturing and not one in which that you go in and you're intimidated, and cultivate healthy working relationships? Because what I found is that I get calls, and I've been fortunate to sit on a number of boards and everything else, but how do we expand the pool? Because until we figure that out, how do we expand the pool? And when we're sitting in the boardroom and that boardroom doesn't look like it did 50 years ago, but actually reflects the community in which we live today, that's how we bridge the gap. Because with that diversity and the different voices and the different faces, they also bring different ideas, and they're not afraid of change. And so for me, I think that's the challenge, and that's what I'm committed to, and whatever it takes to be that change agent, that's what I'm here for.
Told you you'd end with something wise. Good job, Jason. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for saying yes and coming on today. I know people learned so much. We have so many people tuned in right now. If you want to make sure you do not miss these conversations every week, just text Drinks with Leaders 913-298-8790. I'm no longer going to put out the text with our big announcement that Julian Wright, former NBA player, KU player, was out, because Scott, see, I told you he gets in trouble every time. He wrote it. But we got some other conversations. We got some other cool things. So you'll be the first to know if you text us there, as well as our networking course that is just about here. So you'll get to know about that as well. If you want to connect with any of these leaders, we will tag them on this post. Again, thank you guys so much. You are doing incredible things in the community. We cannot thank you enough. And we'll see you next time.